Welcome back to part 3 of our episode on weight loss. So now that you have your new boobs and your new stomach, so how was it? How was the, so when we went, she's been talking about this bullshittery for whatever.
Bullshittery.
And so the appointment right before the surgery, I went with her because they were going to go over everything and she wanted me to be there so we could just, in case I had any questions, just try to remember shit that we were supposed to do.
Because they cover a lot.
Well, first, listen, you asked. You asked.
I know, but I was in the middle. Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
No.
Okay, so when you look for plastic surgery, if you've ever seen botched, make sure you go to a board-certified plastic surgeon. And do not set false expectations for yourself. I thought I was going to be able to go to these doctors, set the appointment, talk to each one, get a feel, get a price, blah, blah, blah. That's not how it works. First of all, some of them, they make you pay even for a consultation. They're not wasting their time on your ass. They're going to get their money. So, and then you make the appointment and it's a couple months out. You can't just make the appointment and then just show up next week. No, it's months before you can even get in the door.
Well, that's here in Colorado.
No, it's a lot of places.
Oh, okay. So, like, I bet you in LA, that's not the case.
How much will make a bet?
I think you wait longer.
I think so.
Really? Because
there's more.
There's so many, like in LA and Miami, that you would think that.
I bet there is, but it's my understanding that is a normal thing. Like, of all the videos and things that I've read, that is very normal.
I'll allow it.
And the fee, that thing.
Yeah.
That and I made an appointment with 3 different places. One of them was in Denver and 2 of them were here. One of them charged me and said, okay, it's $299. I said, okay, but if I cancel before, look at her face.
I did not know about that.
Oh. Listen,
we would have had a conversation.
So and I said, but if I cancel before, I'll get my money back. They said yes. So
okay.
I ended up canceling and I never went. And then, like
Do
I said,
they apply it to your surgery if you go with them?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
First appointment that I went to, I had a very good feeling about her. I looked at her pictures. We had discussed things. I just felt better, and so I felt comfortable enough with going with her. So I went
so
against
when you say
all my
pictures,
things. Her
looked
before and
hot.
afters.
She was like, woo, I want her all over.
I know, I'm
touching me, my new boob. Woo.
I want to explain that she was looking at the pictures of her results
work.
of
Yes,
her work.
yes.
Yes. Because the way you said it was like, well, I looked at her pictures and I was in.
Assholes.
Stalked her Instagram.
She has before and after pictures of the surgery she has completed. All right, so you went. Now we're to the point where I have made my decision, canceled the other appointment, got my $299 back.
Now I'm allowed to speak.
Then I made the appointment, and it had to do it very quick. So you go in for the consultation, and it's still months. That was months after I made the appointment in February. I didn't see this bitch until April. I couldn't get the appointment for the surgery until August. So you're months for all points. So 3 weeks before the surgery, I bring Miss Tara with me. Now over to you.
So the lady's talking about all the things. So Sunshine has to read and sign. So as she's reading, she's like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this. This is very scary. All the things, right?
Because they tell you everything that's wrong.
Everything that could possibly go wrong with you. So now the woman comes in, she's talking to us, and she says something about 10-hour surgery. I said, what? And I looked at her. I said, did you know the surgery was 10 hours? She said, no. And I'm like, that is a long time. So that is where I was already kind of leery because she's got a lot of shit going on there. And then I was like, 10 hours? It was
alarming.
Uncomfortable.
And it was scary. And so by the 3rd page in, I was like, shit, this is dumb. This is an elective surgery I'm spending $30,000 on. If something happens, Tara no longer has a wonderful wife. Susanna no longer has a beautiful sister. And poor Asher has no lovely mother. And so I'm like, this is stupid. You're spending all this money. It's elective. I would much rather be wrinkly and saggy than be dead.
In a chateau in France.
And so I was super nervous at that point. And I was freaking out. And then originally I was not going to do my arms at all. And
in the room
as we're talking to the lady.
I think I want to do my arm. And it said, you cannot switch. Right. This is your plan. You cannot switch.
In the paperwork I already signed before.
So then when we told the lady, she goes, you want to switch? So then they had to rework
everything.
The whole game plan of how
the surgery was going to go.
Right. Yeah. And so some doctors, depending on how their experience and stuff like, they determine how long they will keep you under. Mm-hmm. And I have read some doctors only do 5 hours. The max is 5 hours.
Well, this woman said, I'm surprised she's doing it because usually she doesn't go any longer than 10. I mean, 8. So then I'm like, oh, great.
She's going to 10. Like, yeah.
She's feeling frisky. We're going to push it 2 more hours.
Prior to this, and for a long time, since I had the gastric bypass, I was never going to do my arms because it just looked so painful to me. It looked painful. And I was just like, nope, never going to do it. I don't care. They're going to be flabby. They're going to be slapping people in the face. It's just going to happen. Whatever. We're just going to keep it wings.
We could have made money. I'm sure somebody likes that.
And so but then the more weight I lost since I got down to my goal weight, because they want you to be at your goal weight before you have this surgery, it just really bothered me. Every time we did this podcast, if you all look back, I had some sort of sweater on or shirt down to my elbow because I was very self-conscious of my arms.
Of your flaps.
Of my flaps. I said, I really want, and I even told you, Tara, I said, I might forego my boobs. Because a bra, I can stick them in, I can stuff them in. And Tara goes, you've been wanting fucking boobs since before you ever even lost weight.
Yeah.
Like, you are getting those fucking boobs. And I'm like, you're right. I have wanted implants for
Perky
a long
boobs.
time. I wanted fake boobs. Like, my boobs, I just didn't think were pretty. I didn't like them. I like the look of fake boobs. I just do. So I said to the lady, I said, look, what can we move or adjust or change in the surgery? So then she said, okay, well, we can talk to the doctor about it. So then the doctor came in and I said, look, this is what I want to do. I want to do one fell swoop. I do want to do my arms. I definitely want to do my boobs. And I want to do something with this extra skin on my belly. Can we figure out a way that we can do it all? She goes, so there's 3 chicks there. I'm standing there.
Naked
as a jaybird.
And then the woman is just
moving everything around.
Picking everything up.
She's
boobs,
clay.
skin.
She's just moving it, stretching it. And I was like, okay.
And all 3 of them, one lady was over here. The doctor was in front of me. The other lady was over. They're all nurse and doctors, and literally lifting up boobs, lifting up my stomach. And they said, yep, I think that we can do it. So I got a tummy tuck, which goes across the lower part. If you ever have a C-section, it's like that area. And so from hip to hip, and then a fleur-de-lis is where they cut from your cooter all the way up to your boobs, across your belly button, and they bring you in this way. And then they originally were going to do a little bit more, which they didn't. And then they were going to take some fat from my side area here, which they felt was unnecessary, just the way my body was. Plus, it would have required me to be turned, and I wasn't going to be turned. And then they cut underneath my boob, cut up to my nipple, cut around my nipple, lifted me, stuck in an implant, which was between
300 and 400.
350 cc's, which is a full size C. And then they replaced my nipple. They cut around my belly button and put another hole. They pulled my skin together, whatever, up, down, together. Put a hole and reattached my belly button. And then they did the brachioplasty from my elbow all the way underneath into my armpit. And in all honesty, people, the brachioplasty, the arm lift, hurts the least of all the things. And that was I was most afraid of.
Which was the most painful?
The most painful was the muscle sewing.
The stomach.
Yeah, because even just to talk, you use your stomach muscles. And so that was the most painful. But so everything does hurt. Like if I touch it where I'm cut, like it's tender, but in all honesty, it's not. Is it
not as bad as you thought it was going to be?
Yeah, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I thought, even though I watched many things and I only took 6 days off of work and 2 weekends. So it was a 10-day cycle. I had it on a Friday. I went back to work 2 Mondays later. I could have been out for a whole nother week only because I was tired.
Yeah.
But I was able to sit. I was able to get up and walk around. I did get swollen. I still get swollen. It's only been 3 weeks. I still get swollen.
I think what surprised me, and it really shouldn't, but I didn't think about it, was how long before you're fully recovered from this.
Oh, yeah.
Which is months and months and months.
Oh, yeah. They say...
But she's got to wear the garments for
6 to 8 weeks.
6 to 8 weeks. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The compression.
Yeah. So, yeah. And it's 24/7. And so the first week, I took 2 showers.
The first shower was a freaking nightmare because then she had drains.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Also, so you're doing the drains. You're taking these very tight things off, and I'm pulling it off. And I'm afraid I'm gonna hurt her. And then they said that when you take it off, at first you can kind of get woozy because everything is.
Yeah.
So I'm like, please don't faint.
Yeah. 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 And then I had to wear the little drains on a little necklace, and I had to sit in the shower. And then they tell you if the shower's too hot, you could get lightheaded. Tara was really worried about that stuff. But even those first 2 showers, I just laid on the bed. Tara had to wash my garments like super quick. Yeah. Like you had to do the quick cycle or whatever because you have to put that shit right back on. But these are 24. I can't take them off at all. And when I do to take a shower, it still feels like I'm wearing, like that's what everything feels like. Everything feels tight and it feels like I'm still wearing all the things. The first time I looked down to do something, I think I went to do something with the drains because there was one on each hip. And I looked down and being 340 pounds, I have had big boobs. Yeah. Like I've been a double F, triple F sometimes.
I used to wear your bra on my head.
It's a big bra. So I've had big boobs.
I don't need to hear about your bedroom activities, okay?
And so when I looked down to do something, I was like, I can't see my stomach. Like, no. And before they were so deflated, I could see everything.
Yeah.
And so that was weird.
That was the first thing when I was in the room and they kind of wheeled her in and I could just see feet. And then she comes in and they pick her up and put her in that chair and I was like, and then she goes, and she's totally out of it. She doesn't even remember that moment.
Nope, I don't.
Of being in the room.
But
she looks down and she's like,
were they bigger than you thought?
Yeah, well, not now. Now I think they're just whatever.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, and plus in the beginning,
they're swollen and you're retaining.
They're swollen. They're wrapped, and I have 2 garments on, so they were out bigger than they really are.
Yeah.
But I think they're like a size C. Ish. I mean, they're not big at all. I mean, they're just like regular or whatever. But
they're proportionate.
Yeah,
be fine.
I think they're proportionate. Yeah. So Susanna's seen it all.
I have. I think I embarrassed Mark last time too.
You did?
Well, this when I came out because we came over for dinner. Then Sunshine's like, well, do you want to see? And I said, well, yes, I want to see what all the fuss is about.
I wasn't sure if she wanted to see while it was healing or after. And she goes, both.
Both. And so we're in there for a while because all that compression stuff takes a while to take off. But anyway, so we leave and I come out. I'm sitting there telling Mark, yep, I saw her boobs. They're fabulous.
Well, then
I think he kind of blushed.
Well, you guys were in there.
You guys are trying to sneak in.
No. Asher and I are talking about crotch talk.
Oh, yes.
So Mark is like,
what?
Yeah. And we're like, yeah, she just started talking to you. She was like, put your hands down her pants. It's crotch talk. And Mark's like, okay.
So just so you know, you're wearing these. So I have this thing. I put both arms in.
It's like a vest.
It's like a vest. Yeah. And it comes across my chest. And that's one piece. And then I have a piece that I pull on, I step into, that has my crotch open. And it, it's like a girdle. And it comes up. And then I have straps that come over my arms. So I'm covered from my cooter all the way down to my arms. Well, sometimes this thing kind of rides up. And I already expressed that I don't like not wearing underwear. And so I need to adjust the stuff because I don't like where it's sitting. So sometimes when I'm sitting down and then I get up, I have to move the piece down. And
what else am I supposed to do? She's in the kitchen talking to you, blah, blah, blah. They see, all of her, both her hands are just down her pants. And we're like, what is going on over there?
So then they call it crotch talk. And it's not really that I'm in my crotch because there are leg holes. So sometimes I'm just pulling, like you saw me today.
Yeah.
I lifted up my pants and I pulled down the legs. That's it. That's all that it is.
Well, the visual is just you with both hands down your pants,
you're sitting there
wiggling
going,
around
"What are
like
you
you're
doing?"
wrestling a raccoon in there or something. I don't know.
But now I'm getting feeling. So I have feeling almost everywhere except right underneath my boob.
Where the incision is?
And it's a little better. It's actually just there's just a little portion, maybe an inch under each boob that I can't feel. I can feel even more now. And then I can't feel, what would you call this area?
Your
Lower
abdomen?
abdominal?
Lower abdomen, yeah. So below the belly button, there's a portion about a size of my palm that I can't feel. Everything else I can feel if I touch it.
That's pretty good recovery. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the doctor's happy?
Yeah. And my nipples are pink. They were happy with that. Even they were pink. That's what they said. Oh, well, they're nice and pink.
And then they like,
Poked it. Can you feel that? And I'm like, no.
What kind of job is this? Feel that? No, okay. Grab some skin and boobs around. And when she's trying on the boobs,
Yeah.
so they have the silicone and she's putting it in, and is the whole debate as to whatever. And she's like, oh, I want boobs her size. So then the doctor's like, so now I have to stand up, and I'm like, here's my boob, and I'm looking at my bra, and I'm like,
Yeah. So
it's
for
a
those,
very odd environment.
it is, but it's so natural for them. That's what
Yeah.
they do all day long. But for those listening, I'm sitting at the table, and the woman is saying, well, do you have a picture of the boobs that you want? And I'm like, no. I said, but I kind of want them like Tara's. And so then the doctor looks at Tara, and then I said, Tara, get up. And so I just lift Tara's shirt up. I said, look, just like these.
At some point, I'm like, do I need to take the bra off? I don't know. Wait, what do you want?
And so basically, I think they got pretty close.
Yeah, they're like comparable. Yeah.
So
For twinsies.
Yeah,
Boob twinsies.
side note, so for people that are thinking about getting a boob job that have been overweight, so there's two ways that you can get a boob job. You can get it over your muscle or you can get it under your muscle. And so for people that have been overweight for a long period of time, like myself, my chest cavity in general kind of pushes outwards. How would you express that to somebody that's not watching? Like, you're opening a book. So it kind of opens
Yeah, so
outwards.
the space in between your boobs gets wider.
Yes.
Okay.
So like when her boobs hung out with her belly button. Before the
They had parties down there.
Put it all out there.
it was a thruple now. It was like when she would take her shirt off, it literally would look like she's completely flat chested.
Yeah.
So all this part was like
Much
Open.
was like an armor, a plate of armor right
Yes.
here. So they had to kind of rework the fake boobs.
Yes. And so what they tell you is that for people that are overweight, because your chest does that, because it opens up like that, just your body, that's just what happens, that it's better to put the boob on top of the muscle versus,
under.
let's say someone has been thin their whole life and you wanted a boob job, you would put it under the muscle.
Okay.
And so mine are over the muscle, which does make it harder for mammograms to see all the things, which is a reason why I will have to get a mammogram every year, no matter what.
And how long is their full recovery?
So the full recovery, it could be up to 6 to 8 months before all the swelling goes down. Everything is in its right spot. Even if when I look in the mirror now, I'm still not, even when Susanna came over today, she's like, are you standing up straight yet? I'm like, no, I don't think so. Do I look like it? And so I'm still a little hunched over, and especially when I first get up, I'm still like bent over, and then I slowly stand up. And I think I can get to almost a full, like my back is straight.
Erection?
Yeah, an erection state, yes. So there are some spots on my belly, and some of it could be swelling, or it could be the way that I'm hunched over that it looks like she didn't get it all. And I even brought it to her attention. She said, we're going to have to probably wait 3 months until you're almost completely healed to really see where the skin lays.
Mm-hmm.
Because on the table, she said everything was taut. And so she said, we may have to fix that later. And she said it might be a tweak that we can do right in the office with whatever other cosmetic shit
Mumbo
That they
jumbo.
do.
that they do there. Yeah, I don't know what that. And so I'm hoping once I stand up straight, the swelling goes away.
It'll just work itself out.
That it will just kind of work itself out. But when I do sit down, there's certainly excess skin, which I thought would be perfectly taut.
So that's, again, going back to make sure and there's plenty of people who share their story and their journey and whatever, and you can see the before and after pictures.
Yeah.
So you have like realistic expectations that, what your body will even look like, scarring.
Yes.
And really how much they can do with skin removal. It's not going to look like some teenage bod out there, right? It's not. So be realistic of what you're going to get.
It's not like it's a small incision that's going on. There's a stress going on for you anyway. Yeah.
And so that's what the Florida Lee was. And so even when I first went to her, I wanted to do the 360, and she talked about that and how that would work. And I said, okay, but in my research, I also want to talk to you about this other surgery where you get cut straight down the middle from your boob down to your cooter. And she goes, why normally it's not one that I do as often because of the scarring. You're going to have a lot of scarring. You have a scar from your boob to your cooter, from your hip to your other hip, underneath each boob, around each nipple, around your belly button. And in my brain, it's not like the only person that's going to see that is you, Tara, and obviously you, because I showed you.
That's what I asked her. I said, unless you have dreams of wearing a bikini,
right?
Yeah,
no one's ever going to see that. Yeah,
and so that doesn't bother me one bit. And so she did talk to me. She's like, "Well, how do you feel about scars? What does that look like?" And because the brachioplasty, when they do the arm lift, some doctors do the scar right here on the inside. So, like, if you're waving to someone, they can see that scar.
Mm-hmm.
My doctor, she says, when you go to wave to somebody, do you want them to see that scar? And I'm like, I don't care. I said, I don't care. She goes, well, it doesn't look very nice. And I said, yeah, I guess you're right. She goes, so where I normally put it is I put it in the back. And she goes, yeah. So somebody, when you're in the store at the grocery mart and somebody's standing behind you and you're in a t-shirt, they're going to see that that place or that spot.
Yeah.
And she goes, does that bother you? I said, no. I don't care, but she's right. Now that I have it done, when I go like this to wave, I am happy I don't have a scar here. Because it can be hidden in pictures, on video like we're doing here. And so, yeah, you might be able to see it in person, but the scars in general they don't bother me. Some people, it really bothers them, the scars. I don't care.
Which is why they do the other one, because then it keeps all the scarring like below the belt line, if you will.
Or whatever,
yeah. So now we go tomorrow, actually, or I go tomorrow because you're deserting me. I can now drive. And I still
can go.
Do you really want to go and watch the poking and the slip slopping?
They don't do that anymore. I mean, she sits there naked while they look at her, but there's no more bliggly blaggling around. They just kind of like, gentle. Boop, 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 boop. Tickle, tickle.
Yeah. Oh, I do have the feeling back in both nipples, so that's good. That's good progress. And I still have tape on everything.
Over all the
everything. Yeah, except for my belly button. I don't have anything on my belly button. I don't even see any stitches. But I'm curious what my arms look like, because when I go to touch any of the incisions, it does hurt the most here. Like when I touch it.
Well, it's very sensitive back there. When I had to get a tattoo back there, I was like, oh, that is uncomfortable.
Yeah. So I'm curious if it's like together or, again, there's tape over everything, so I can't see.
Can't see.
So I'm assuming it's all together. And everything else is healing.
So you have documented your
journey.
And how do you want people to see that?
So I have taken before pictures, before 340 before. And then I have pictures before the gastric bypass. I have pictures when I was around 200. And then before this surgery, I took pictures before they draw all the purple marks. Then I took pictures when they drew the purple marks. And then I have pictures after. And so we will post down below where you can find those. Haven't fully decided if it's going to be Instagram or TikTok yet, but once we post this video, you'll see. And then Tara will also post just some before and after so you can see them now. So my before when I was 340, and then what I look like now in my compression garment, so you can't see any of the bits. But if you want to see the other pictures.
Do you want to see the bits?
You want to see the bits.
Give you my Venmo.
We have a Patreon.
Then you can see those pictures. But I'm happy to answer any questions. Everybody's journey is different. I did as much research as I possibly could prior to.
And it wasn't as bad as I thought.
No.
I just pictured her some weird mummy-like figure on the bed with
Especially when you see some of these shows.
yes, with the blood coming out of the drains and I figured she would be like whatever. It
But you
wasn't
brought
as
her
bad.
home
The same day.
the same day.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like they even kept you overnight.
If they did a 360, this doctor has an RN come to your home and check on you twice. But I didn't have that one, so there was no need for that. However, they gave us their numbers should we need them.
Yeah.
But it went well. I'm happy. I'm super happy I did it. Super happy I did the gastric. I'm happy I started Wegovy. I'm happy I have this surgery. I feel fantastic. And lucky for me, I didn't have any complications any which way.
There you go.
All right then.
All right, friends, that's all we got for you. Anything else, ladies?
No.
No, we're good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, then. Hit us up, share with your friends, like, comment.
Subscribe. We only have 41 subscribers.
Come
We're pretty
on,
fucking
people.
lonely, man.
Share with your friends.
We need friends.
We do. We need
Lots
more
of friends.
lemon drops and Tootsie Rolls and lollipops.
Maybe that's why we don't have any
No,
friends.
that's not it.
Hot mamas, hot fellas, studly men's. I'm looking at you.
All right, peace out, bitches.
Adios.
Bye. If you missed the first two, make sure you go back and listen to those because they're fire. Fire, man.